and you must do the same."
"But that is stealing. My mother told me stealing is bad."
Mustafa leaned down until his nose was almost touching Aladdin's. "You will do whatever I tell you, or I shall turn you over to the Sultan's guards, tell them you stole this purse, and they will cut off your head."
"My head?"
"Yes, your head. They will slice through your neck with their long, sharp scimitars." He drew his finger across his throat from one side to the other. "Do you want to lose your head?" He grinned, and it was even more frightening than his scowl. Later that day, when Mustafa was occupied with talking with a man in the bazaar, Aladdin asked Zuhair,
"Will they really cut off my head for stealing?"
Zuhair patted him on the shoulder. "They won't cut off your head, but they will cut off your hand." Aladdin gasped. "But that's only if they catch you. You have to run fast, understand?" He stared into Aladdin's eyes.
"But I don't want to steal."
"You must." Zuhair's dark eyes were solemn. "If Mustafa gets angry, he'll beat you. Just do what he says and he will feed you and not hurt you." The next day, Mustafa took Zuhair and Aladdin out to the marketplace again. They passed a stall of plump fruits, including clusters of purple grapes. He could almost taste their sweet, juicy insides bursting on his tongue. Mustafa's eyes narrowed at him. "You want those grapes, don't you?"
"No."
"Liar. Steal a big bunch of them." Aladdin shook his head. He squeezed Aladdin's arm so hard he yelped. "Zuhair, you distract the vendor while Aladdin steals a bunch. After you take it, Aladdin, put it under your shirt and walk beside me." Aladdin looked at Zuhair and nodded. Zuhair walked over to the vendor and started asking him a question, pointing behind him at another fruit seller. Meanwhile, Mustafa walked Aladdin toward the stand. As they passed the grapes, Aladdin reached out and grabbed a large cluster and shoved it under his shirt, while Mustafa kept up his steady pace. They walked around the corner into a small side street, and soon Zuhair joined them. "The little rat is good at our game," Mustafa laughed, throwing back his head. He reached under Aladdin's shirt and pulled out the grapes. "Eat some." He shoved them into Aladdin's face. The boy picked a grape from the bunch and put it into his mouth. Tears flooded his eyes. Could his mother see him? Was she sad that he was stealing grapes? The grape turned bitter in his mouth as he crunched into a seed. Mustafa laughed again and then held up the bunch of grapes and ate one right off the vine. They ate all the grapes and left the stems on the ground. As they walked back out into the bazaar, Mustafa stopped them and pointed at a boy who was perhaps 9 or 10 years old. He walked with a merchant who wore a snowy white turban studded with jewels and bright red silk shoes that curled over the toes like the liripipe from a foreign pilgrim's hood, the ones that the Christians wore on their way to Jerusalem. The man rested his hand lovingly on the boy's shoulder. He wore the same style of clothing as his father, a miniature man dressed in fine fabrics. "You see that boy? His father is rich. He will never have to steal. But you," Mustafa pointed at Aladdin and then at Zuhair, "you will never be like him. You have no father, and you will steal and run all your lives, wallowing in dirt and filth like rats, until the Sultan's guards catch you and throw you in a hole to die, unless you do as I say." He grabbed the front of Aladdin's shirt. "You're a thief, and you'll never be anything but a thief. And unless you want your hands chopped off, you cannot ever get caught. You understand?" He let go of Aladdin's shirt, grabbed his arm again and pulled him around the outskirts of the market, keeping out of sight. Day after day, Aladdin and Zuhair stole for Mustafa. Other men and children resided in the large house with the dirt floor, but Aladdin and Zuhair belonged to Mustafa. He took them out every day in the hot bazaar, and then, one day, while they sat in a shady spot eating fried bread drizzled with honey, Mustafa suddenly slapped Zuhair's side. "What are you hiding there?" Mustafa roughly drew up Zuhair's shirt. A pouch dangled on a string from the boy's shoulder. Mustafa struck Zuhair's cheek with his open hand.